Hello fellow old schoolers and welcome to the channel. Now these are a few more games from the tournament of the Long Island Cup 1.5, and for a while now I've only had access to my own camera featuring some of my own games during this tournament, but now I've gotten a hold of the SD card from another camera, and there's a bunch of different kinds of matchups on it, and I haven't really seen them, and I don't really know what's on it. But this is a spiky tournament, so we'll likely see some vicious tournament decks in this one. So let's probe what kinds of sharks are swimming the waters here. And the first recording on the camera was from obviously the first round in the tournament, and this is between Smash-Atog, aka Berserk-Atog, and the blue-red Counterburn setup, the classical tier 1 setup. And the pilot of the Smash-Atog, he was the champion of the Long Island Cup 1.0, and he's on a similar brew right here. I played him at the final of that tournament, and those games are recorded on this channel as well. And we also have several other recordings of the Smash-Atog deck as it fights against the deck, and blue-red Counterburn and other kinds of matchups. There's also an entire archetype spotlight dedicated to this particular kind of deck, so I won't use too much time going it over, but rather briefly, it's usually, this one is blue, red and green, and it uses Atogs. Yeah, that's no surprise, and a lot of small artifacts that do damage, like the Black Wise and the Ankh of Mithra, that can produce like a lock in themselves, where the opponent will take damage if he doesn't put down lands and from the Black Wise, and if he puts down lands, the Ankh of Mithra will damage him instead. Once the artifacts are no longer usable, like the Black Wise and the Ankh of Mithra or Moxen, they'll be fed into the Atog, and then you can cast Berserk and go absolutely bananas, killing the opponent in one fell swoop. The deck is supplemented by the full burn package with like lightning bolts, sonic blasts and chain lightning. I believe he plays with two main deck City in a Bottle at the moment. Pretty vicious against many tournament decks, though they are dead cards in other matchups. So it's a bit of a risk, but it'll probably do rather well against against his opponent here, who is the blue and red Counterburn setup that splashes black for the Money Tutor and Mind Twist. The creatures of this deck are primarily Flying Men and Serendipity Freaks, so that's why this City in a Bottle will have a function here. The other parts of the deck are a full burn package, and has a lot of counter magic to protect its creatures and also to stop the power from the opponent. So yeah, it's going to be a fast game, I reckon. I'm not sure, but these two kinds of archetypes are very aggressive and will just cast a lot of burn and fast damage towards each other. So let's see if that holds true. This is the first match. We're going into it here. And we have the Smash-Atog on the left here. He's mulliganing down to 6 cards, and blue-red Counterburn on the right. And here's the hand of the blue-red Counterburn player. A couple of factories, City of Brass, Volcanic Island, a counterspell and 2 bolts. So he'll likely try to get out his factories, do damage with them, protect him with the counterspell, and remove any blockers with the bolts. And that's his aggressive opening. Berserk-Atog, Volcanic Island, Factory, a red Mox, 2 Atogs and a Sonic Blast. So he can get the Atogs out pretty fast, but they're not that usable in the early game. Drew into an Ankh of Mithra there though. So blue-red Counterburn starting off with a Factory here. An answer is the Factory and a red Mox from the Atog player here. And then playing the Ankh of Mithra. This card makes it so that both players will take 2 points of damage whenever they play a land. So this will just speed up the game even more, as both players has a burn strategy to them, and neither deck, as far as I know, have any means at all to gain life. So Just a race to the bottom here. Volcanic Island from the blue-red Counterburn, and here comes the factory for the first swing of the day. 2 points of damage to the Atog player. Passing the turn here. Yeah, so it was a free attack because the Atog player was tapped out, so he couldn't bolt the factory. And he couldn't defend against the factory with his own factory. There's the Atog. So, and he can eat one of the artifacts and actually become, well, 3/4 creature. So he can munch the factory, the opposing factory, if he wants to. There's a chain lightning on the Atog, so now he's in a bit of a dilemma here. He could have eaten one of the artifacts in order to make it survive, but he probably reckons that he has another Atog in hand. We saw that. So it wasn't worth it. That's the second factory. Here he comes again. 2 points of damage. That's 4 points of damage done with those factories at this point. He has a few more cards. He drew into a Flying Man and a Serenity Be Freed. Still has a Lightning Bolt and that counter spell in City of Brass in hand. So now he has the creature base to just get out. I wonder if we'll see a City in a Bottle holding them back here. Now there's the second attack from the Atog player. Now his revenge attack with the final colorless mana from that Sol Ring there. And he can actually, well, he can block the factory and then, I suppose, eat a Sol Ring or the Mox or something like that. In order to kill the opposing factory if he attacks. So, the blue-red Counterburn deck, perhaps he should play a Serenity Be Freed at this point. Not sure. Looks like, okay, he tries to bolt the Atog. So yeah, he munches Ruby, thereby surviving. The Atog becomes a 3/4 creature and can barely survive that lightning bolt right there. So yeah, we know that the blue-red Counterburn deck, he has a City of Brass in hand. He could play that. You know, he chooses to attack with the factory instead and not play the City of Brass. Okay, no, okay, here it comes. Taking a point of damage and playing a Flying Man. Okay. So, let's see what the Smash-Atog player can make happen here. Both are getting a few jabs in with those factories, but holding a bit back here. Attacking with the 1/2 Atog. So I suppose, even if he blocks with that Flying Man, it'll kind of be a waste. But the Atog can eat a lot of artifacts here. So it is a bit of a dilemma. He takes it on the chin though. That's 1 point of damage from the Atog. Okay, looks like. Yeah. Okay, he activates the factory, he activates himself. And then the Atog munches all the artifacts, and that's a Sonic Blast. It all adds up. That's 2, 4, 6, 7, 11 points of damage from the Atog and the Sonic Blast. Just in one quick punch, and he's on the mat, his opponent. 1-0 to the Smash-Atog deck. You can't really give him an opening here. He'll just, yeah, little smash face. Anyway, let's allow these guys a bit to sideboard here, and we'll be back. So this is round 2 after the sideboard. And this time, blue-red Counterburn is on the play. There's a lot of red blasts there from the Atog player. I suppose both players has probably sideboarded a bunch of red and blue blasts in. And likely, the blue-red Counterburn deck, he could have sideboarded perhaps a Blood Moon, or most certainly some Shatters, I believe. Here's his hand. Badlands, a couple of islands, and a factory. A Chain Lightning and a Counterspell, and a Shatter. So I think perhaps that was one of his sideboard cards. Here's the hand from the Smash-Atog. It's pretty hard to see actually. There's a red blast and 2 red blasts, a Lightning Bolt, Black Lotus, a Sushi, and a Tiger, and a Mox Jet. So we can actually get the Sushi out turn 1 and then try to defend it with those red blasts. against any sonic blasts going its way. So that will likely be his game plan here, trying to get it out before the Blue-Red Counterburn can have some countermeasures up. Any countermagic up. There's a Sushi, turn 1. Straight off the bat from the get-go here. Oh, but that's a Shatter. Yeah. A good sideboard card against Smash-Atog. So immediately it puts the Smash-Atog deck a bit behind here because he sacked that Lotus in order to get that very fast opening. Attacking with the factory. Okay, but it gets immediately bolted. That was probably a bit of a risk unless he wanted to draw the bolts out. It's a full hand on that Smash-Atog player and he's untapped. Ancestral Recall. Okay. No Red Blasts. And another Ancestral Recall. Okay, yeah, and he plays that as a response because he doesn't want the other guy to get into any Red Blasts. Oh yeah, he drew into a Factory, a Mox, and a Counterspell. Actually, I believe the Smash-Atog, he could have played the Red Blast, thus countering the Ancestral Recall of the opponent. He has a couple of Red Blasts in hand. So yeah, it went rather fast. I think he should have done that. So they're both even at this point, both with an Ancestral Recall in and armed to the teeth here. Probably with a lot of, yeah, bolts and stuff like that. So the heavens will open up in a bit, I suppose. Still kind of fun why he didn't Red Blast that Ancestral. Perhaps, I don't know if he was tapped out, if he might have bolted the factory. That could have been the play. He bolts the factory and then casts Ancestral Recall at his opponent's end step, thus being tapped out, and then the Blue-Red Counterburn player can use his own Ancestral. That could have been it. Anyway, that's a factory coming over for a poke. 2 points of damage, just running straight into the gauntlet here, but no lightning bolts going its way at this point. I suppose the Blue-Red Counterburn deck either only has chain lightnings, or he elects to keep his stuff a bit, his bolts back for some other targets. A lot of mana on the Smash-Atog side. There's a second Sushi coming out, getting countered, and the counterspell is getting Red Blasted here. So that Sushi, it's in play. We know the Smash-Atog, as I remember, he has at least another Red Blast in hand. And he has that Tiger untapped. There's a Sonic Blast on the Sushi. And the second Red Blast is being played. Pouring a lot of resources. Both players are pouring a lot of resources into that Sushi right there. But it can be difficult to remove for a burn player because it has that 4 in toughness. There's a Strip Mine coming out. Okay, passing the turn. So now the Sushi might be able to attack, but the Blue-Red Counterburn player can actually block with his factory and then bolt the Sushi if he has a bolt. Okay, but the Smash-Atog player wants to check if he has it, and it doesn't seem like he has it, so the Sushi gets in for 4 points of damage right here. Passing the turn right back. He couldn't attack with the factory because there was that defending factory in the way. Unless he wanted to bluff, perhaps. Faking that he had a bolt in hand to remove the blocker. But at the moment the Smash-Atog is just keeping his own factory back, and both factories can just, defend against the other one. Okay, something big is coming here. That was a fireball before. Yeah, that's a fireball. The blue blast this time. It lives a charmed life, that Sushi. Everything but the kitchen sink is just thrown at it, and the Smash-Atog player just blocks every attack. 2 red blasts and a blue blast at this point. Coming over for another big punch with that sushi. Is that an Atog now, perhaps? Yep. It's very dangerous. There's 3 artifacts there. Because the factory will become a 2/2 artifact creature if he activates it. We saw how fast that Atog could kill in the previous round. So what to do here? The blue-red Counterburn deck has tried so hard to remove that sushi, but luck has just been on the side of the Smash-Atog player. He has had all the answers he needed. A lot of thinking here. And if the Atog gets in, he might be able to make a kill, actually. Okay, so he tries to pull off a chain lightning here. He just eats one of the factories. And then he bolts him right back with the chain lightning. You can't do that. You can use 2 red mana to just bounce a chain lightning back to another target. So straight back in the face of the blue-red Counterburn player here. He did have a lightning bolt in hand. He could try to lightning bolt the sushi again, but he would likely just eat the mox. But then the Atog can't grow in the Smash-Atog player's turn because there are no artifacts to make it grow, so he can't kill him that easily, so he should probably do it. Okay, did he chain it back? I think he did. He chained the chain lightning back at him. I think he should have chained it on the Atog, actually. But that chain lightning just bounced back and forth a couple of times right there. He used the City of Brass and the Mox Ruby to bounce it back. So it blocks the sushi here with the factory. So the Atog can sack some Moxen, do 5 points of damage here. And the Smash-Atog deck, he doesn't need that much mana to function, so he can't do this. Yeah, the Atog eats the Mox Jet and the Mox Sapphire, doing 5 points of damage, and the sushi smacks down the defending factory. So he's really on the back foot now, the blue-red Counterburn player. He needs something to happen here. At least he can bolt the Atog now, but he needs a way to stop that sushi. He needs like a shatter, and then some way to get rid of the Atog. Perhaps a blue blast on the Atog would be nice as well. Okay, he lightning bolts the sushi here. Yeah, and he could have eaten the sushi here, but it's probably not worth it. Okay, then he chain lightnings the sushi, but it gets bounced right back, and that's enough. That's game right there. He had a city in a bottle and a sonic blast in hand, the Smash-Atog player, against the counterspell and the chain lightning. So yeah, pretty quick match actually. 2-0 for the Smash-Atog player. Very action-packed with all those burn spells, but just seemed like he had too much defense on those creatures he had. The blue-red Counterburn player, he couldn't really get in and couldn't remove the permanence of his opponent, and just got grinded down in that second match. The first match was just a surprise punch, I'd say, just making everything work with sacking the factory and sacking the Sol Ring and having enough mana to Sonic Blast as well. Anyway, that was the first match on the camera from the Spiky tournament, and we see that the Smash-Atog is moving on through the ranks here. No idea what will be next, but I'll keep on putting out games from this camera from different kinds of matchups, and once I've put a fair bit out, we'll go back to the Composition A and see how it fares in this in the Swiss of this tournament. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.